Nobody told me that I'd feel regret in the first few weeks of having my child, and that I'd lost out on an old life that I loved and that there was no way out. Nobody told me how like it would be it's such a mind game dealing with mom guilt. Guys, mom guilt is one of my struggles right now. It's one of my areas of development, or it's one of those areas where I feel shaky. I don't have confidence that I've gotten a hold of my mom guilt.
Mama magnified, mama magnified,
mama magnified, mama magnified, mama magnified, mama magnified, magnified family, what it do? Hello everybody, again, welcome back. My name is Magniiiii, also known as Mama Magniiiii. Guys, thank you so much for coming back here. If it is, for any special reason, it's your first time here, which probably is, you are right at home. You're welcome. We are very, very excited to have you. And for those who are back for another bang of a Magnified episode, welcome back. Guys, we are a growing channel. We are a new channel, and we are on road to 500. So please make sure that you're subscribed. Let me wait for you, actually. Well, I am still, and you're still listening to this intro. Are you subscribed? And if not, why? If the button doesn't say subscribed, then you know you've got some homework. Please do subscribe. Please do like. And don't leave me hanging in the comment section down below. And again, for those who don't know, like I said, my name is Magniiiii. Right here on YouTube, we explore and go crazy on anything motherhood, anything lifestyle, anything being self to self. Understand that we also have a podcast section here. So every other week, when I've managed to record a very, very good conversation, that's where we upload our podcast as well. But welcome home. Let's get to today's video. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about I wanted to talk about something that I've been meaning to you guys probably would have seen by the topic, obviously. But I mean, along my 6-year tenure, along my 6-year, journey as a mother, there's just been so many things that I've had so many moments. I was like, but why didn't anybody mention this one? Like, how come nobody told me about this one? Like, didn't somebody think to mention this part to me? I'm generally like a person who just feels like you can never have too much information. And I think that's how really I even came to start Mama Magnified, because I just felt like, it is a community of moms to be, moms who still want to be moms, or people who may not even have biological kids. But I think by nature as women, I think God really, by nature we are nurturers, So I've always just thought that, we can create a community where we have these conversations so that whoever is still coming into this journey can have some knowledge of, what are the realities really, and then they're able to make an informed decision. Or even when you're in it, I've had a lot of moments where I felt like you're going crazy with your thoughts, and you're just like, maybe I'm like, maybe I'm not like a good mom because I'm doing this. And then by the time you have conversations with other moms, you're like, oh, so that's normal? Oh, so you experience that too? So today I am going to talk about things that nobody told me about motherhood, or things I wish somebody would have told me about motherhood. Okay, I've written everything down so that I can move quite swiftly, and then the video can be like get straight to the point. But I'm also looking forward to hear from you guys as to what you wish somebody would have told you. Let's go. Okay, so the first one I said, nobody told me that putting a baby to my breast would make me weep in pain. That I would eventually spend so many hours a day pumping, and that, breast is best would torture me so deeply. So basically talking about the breastfeeding journey, right? I honestly just feel like there aren't enough raw conversations going around about breastfeeding. There's a lot more stigmas going around, breast is best, and it sort of vilifies moms who do then choose to either bottle feed or formula feed. But I want to focus on the actual breastfeeding journey. I'm finding that a lot of my newer friends who've had babies after me didn't really have a real perception of the breastfeeding journey. Number one, a lot of us expect that day one after you give birth, you've got like squirting milk. No, guys, it takes time for your breast milk to come through. Number two, we don't often talk about how painful it is at some point, especially in those first few days, probably 2 weeks, where it's extremely sore, like agonizing pain, where you just feel like you want to give up. But for me, the pain didn't last long, but there was a few days where it was extremely sore, especially when either your breasts are engorged or the breasts are like really filling up and your nipples haven't really gone tender enough to be used to the demand. And there's also just that some moms feel like a failure when there isn't enough supply. So there's just so much that goes around in the breastfeeding section, where I feel like we can talk about it a bit more, so that we can affirm moms who are going through the normal things about breastfeeding, but because the information wasn't shared, when they are now going through this new baby breastfeeding journey, they feel like a failure. Right, so that's number one around breastfeeding. I absolutely enjoyed breastfeeding, though. I'm an advocate for breastfeeding. I breastfed my eldest son up until he was 2 years old. Yes, I know. I enjoyed it on all aspects, the emotional connection, the physical connection, the nutrient part of it, but just the bonding, really. And I know and I acknowledge that it's not always an easy journey for all moms. Number two, nobody told me that I'd feel regret in the first few weeks of having my child. And that I'd lost out on an old life that I loved, and that there was no way out. I absolutely felt this. There was a time where I felt like the reality kicked in that, oh my word, my old life is gone. Like, I can't go back to the old me. I can't go back to the old life of just doing things when I want. I can't go back to that life where my priorities were XYZ. Like, things have changed. And then I did have like sort of that smaller than a regret, maybe not regret, but anxiety of the new, to say, what did I just do? I have a baby now. That's scary, Nobody told me about that part. Number three, nobody told me that despite all the support, I would have postnatal depression-like symptoms. I regard myself very blessed in that department, in that sense, that I think I had like very good support. We still have both grandparents alive. We had a stay-in nanny. My husband is beyond supportive. He's just beyond hands-on. Like, he's as good as a mother, There's not that thing, there's certain things he doesn't do as a father or a husband. And even with all that support, it was still hard. The lows hit really low. And I don't think nobody told me that even with the maximum support, it's just a hard journey. Number four, nobody told me that I would change from someone who hated a crying child in public to someone who wants to hug a mother who's dealing with it. Guys, I'm in that tender phase of tantrums. My youngest son is 3 years old, and wow, when I tell you how rough that phase is, I'm just like, I want to have a support group for all moms of us who have teenagers, because sometimes it feels like I'm losing my mind. Sometimes it's just like, Njani, guys, I know when I read up what's happening in their brain psychologically, so I understand the science. But when you're in it, in the thick of it, you're just like, what? I can't, So now when I'm in a shopping center, I used to give moms a look. Dude, your child is crying. Can you get a hold of your child? Not a look, but I would think that. But now when I see a mom with a child who's having a meltdown or a tantrum or whatever, I genuinely, if it wouldn't make me feel, if it wouldn't make me look like a weirdo, I probably would go and hug that mom, or just give them that look to say, I get it, I just left mine at home, you just happen to be with yours at the shop, so no shade, mama, because it's a reality. Okay, and then number five, nobody told me that fending to each child's needs at different stage of their lives would feel so hard. Yo, guys, I think for me, when I still had my eldest son, it was a bit easier because it was just him. But now when we had our second son, it became so like, wow, it needed a lot more thought to it, because if my eldest is 6 now and my youngest is 3, even though my oldest son is firstborn, you don't want to make your child grow up too fast. He still has needs of a 6-year-old, and it's not his fault that he became a firstborn and now there's a second sibling. So he shouldn't have to forfeit certain things by virtue of him being the oldest. Of course, you want to teach him sharing and support and him being there for his brother, but it's just really realizing that he's still a 6-year-old who has 6-year-old needs. I think that's the reason why I wanted to share this one. Particularly for me, it's been I won't say it's struggle. I think it's been more of a struggle for my husband, and that's more of a thing I've been more aware of, that I bring to his attention as well, to say, yes, he firstborn and he must grow up and toughen up, but he's still a 6-year-old who has 6-year-old needs. Same applies for my 3-year-old, right? So that's how I wrote that one there. And then the next one is nobody told me how like it would be a mind, like it's such a mind game dealing with mom guilt. Guys, mom guilt is one of my struggles right now. It's one of my areas of development, or it's one of those areas where I feel shaky. I don't have confidence that I've gotten a hold of my mom guilt. It's something that I speak about a lot because I want to get a sense that, am I the only one feeling this? But it's so real when I speak to, even as I'm working. Mom guilt is so weird because you just like, sometimes you don't even have control of the situation, but you guilt trip yourself over it, you know? I'll make an example. When my son was sick recently and we had to keep the aircon on and he had to have his clothes off, I had mom guilt that it's cold outside. Why can't I put a blanket on him, you know? But he needed the aircon because he was having fevers. Or mom guilt of my youngest son, Anesu is 3. He's been home with our nanny so far. He hasn't started school. So he's yet to start school now. We're ready for him to start this year. But when we went to the ped, because he's got asthma and he's sickly and dealing with other like sickly things, the ped advised that let's wait for winter to pass and he'll start school in September. Guys, the mom guilt is eating me up because I'm like, yo guys, my child is gonna sit at home and just, you know, be like waiting to go to school. He's at an age where he needs stimulation, and the more the time goes where he's not in school, where we're waiting for September, the mom guilt hits me every day when we leave to go to work or school with my eldest son, you know. So in that example, you would think, okay, dude, you guys have it in place, you've booked him into school, just wait it out. But there are those deep moments of mom guilt that you just can't do anything about. But the mom guilt is eating you up. I don't know if that makes sense. The next one is nobody told me that, you know, as a mom, you feel all the feelings, whether they good or bad, but those feelings hit you hard. And I think that also sort of summarizes in different things where, you know, when your child is, let's say your child has had a sad day or I don't know what, but whatever it is, because, you know, God has made us, when we nurturers, we're more emotional beings. We feel everything a lot. If it's good, we feel it extremely. If it's bad, we feel it deeply. You know, it's like at graduations, most times it's the moms crying, or at these milestones, it's the moms crying. Yeah. Last one that I'm going to park a bit here is nobody told me how difficult it would be to deal with your child being sick or having a sickly child, particularly under the hospitalisation scenario. I'm recording this video. We are 2 days post being discharged. So a bit of a background story around my youngest son, or both my children are asthmatic. My youngest son has also just struggled with febrile seizures since the age of 1. He's about to turn 4 in December. So he's just been one of those kids where I now got to experience the life of driving to the ER, you know. And unfortunately for him, he's also still struggling with febrile seizures. So every time that he would be sick and have a fever, not every time, but there have been times where he's sick and he has a fever and he then has febrile seizures. So we see our ped every 3 months. So he's under the care of doctors, and that's fine. The first year was quite rough. 2021. Is it 2022. That's when we had a lot of hospital admissions, and it took us a long time to get to understand what's actually happening. But it really was the reality of his immune system is still like, you know, trying to build antibodies. But I'm glad that we got to at least even run allergy tests. He's got a lot of allergies. He's allergic to nuts, eggs, lactose, and wheat. He's asthmatic. And he's the one who's home, right? So he's home with the other mom, which is our stay-in nanny. And my eldest son, I guess, is the one bringing the bugs home. But remember, my eldest son who's bringing the bugs home has a stronger immune system because he's been going to preschool and school. He's bringing the bugs home to a little baby or a child at home whose immune system isn't as strong. So to summarize this, really, 2022 was the roughest year where we had a lot of hospital admissions purely because he would have an infection, have a fever, and he would have seizures. So he is on seizure medication, but whenever then he is sick, he would have breakthrough seizures as well. So we've come to a better place now. I think 2023, which is last year, when I think back to about 2022, we probably were in hospital guys, every 2 months he would have seizures every other 6 weeks, I think. Like next after 3 months, this way is better. Like high 2 or high 3. And even if we don't get admitted, we would always end up at the ER. If he has a seizure at home, we have to drive to the emergency room. They have to give him oxygen, resuscitate him, stabilize him, send him home, you know. So 2022 was tough. I think I'm gonna record a separate video on that. But just the element of having your child so sick, nobody told me how difficult that would be emotionally and spiritually as a mother. I can't speak for fathers, guys, so I'll always refer as a mother. But what I have seen with my husband is yes, it does knock them when their children are sick, but he seems to be a little bit more level-headed. He's not too deep in his emotions. Maybe he doesn't show me. But what I've found is we've sort of found a way to deal with it, is that in that moment when you're in hospital with your sick child, it almost feels like you're on autopilot, you're on fight or flight, right? You can't, for me at least, it feels like I don't have time to feel anything. I just need to make sure that my child is fine. But still, as a mom, I only realize that only once we're discharged and we've gone home and my child is okay, then everything kicks in, which is what's happening with me now this week. We were admitted 6 days ago, and then we were discharged. We've been home for about a day. And so now all the next few, I know in the next week, I'm going to be feeling everything. I'm going to be deep in my emotions. I'm going to be like, only then will I be like, shoot, okay, now I like go back to everything that just happened, relive everything, refeel everything, address everything with myself, cry, you know, all those things. And I just found that that's one of the parts where I must be okay with being vulnerable and sharing with people, that is the one spot where if you want to knock me, like hurt me there by my kids being sick, because I get so weak. But at the same time, I'm so grateful that I realized and I learned in this last few days, what God showed me and what I experienced is that in that valley of being, you know, having sick, your child is sick in hospital, I'm at my lowest. In that moment, I was hearing from God more. I was having so many conversations with God, and I feel that was a time where I was sensitive to hearing God through my pain and sadness. I don't know if you guys get me, but I'm just now talking about, nobody told me how difficult it would be to have a very sick child who's hospitalized, you know, and what a toll it takes on you mentally and emotionally. Spiritually, I feel I'm at my peak, not peak, but spiritually I'm at my cup. Yeah, spiritually, man, it's going higher and higher, you know, or not higher and higher, but I'm in the light now, and I'm very intentional about filling my cup spiritually. But emotionally, guys, and I just find that when those emotions demand to be felt, you can be how well fed spiritually. When those emotions come, they want to be felt. You're a mother. I made the example about the aircon. There was a time in hospital where we had to be put in an isolation room and have the aircon on because they just couldn't break the seizures. Although the infection was clearing, not the seizures, the fever. Although the infection, the chest infection was clearing, the fever would go up. They give him something, it goes down, it goes up again, you know. So we were having those breakthrough fevers that they couldn't break them, and it was very depressing because I ended up spending Mother's Day in the hospital. But also, that's another thing, like nobody told me that I wouldn't even care about things like that. When your child is sick, nothing matters. I couldn't even be bothered about Mother's Day. I just want my child to be okay. I just want to take the sickness and transfer it to me. But again, nobody told me how, you know, how much of a low blow growing pains are for our children. So yeah, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to end it there. I think these are just the small things that I feel like, nobody told me, nobody mentioned such things, around motherhood. And we can always revisit this discussion. But I think most times we only talk about the highs and the grades and we're posting our pretty children on Instagram. But we don't speak about those in-between moments of motherhood and the lows. When the lows come, they're really low. And we often only speak about it when we've come out of it. But I've just become more intentional about being, just bringing out those moments and speaking about them, because they are all our realities. Most times when I'm speaking to moms and they're texting me, yo, listen, this is what's happening, and when I relate that, oh, I also experienced that, like this, like that, it actually helps them a lot to feel like, oh, okay, you know, we've always looked up to you as a mom and we didn't know you also experienced these. So it became sort of a gap for me to say, it means we're not speaking enough about these low moments. It means we're not speaking enough about these in-between moments. We're only showing the ta-da, you know, and that's not real life. You know, real life is not that 1 second. A picture is 1 second of the moving picture and the frame. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. I don't want this video to be too long. You guys let me know, what are your motherhood lows? You guys let me know what nobody told you about motherhood, or let me know also what other videos around motherhood you guys would like me to have a conversation with. And also, guys, remember, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, just hit me up, okay, on the Mama Magnified email address, and let's get you over and have this conversation. I love having someone to converse with. I love having these sit downs though as well, but definitely would love to engage with you guys more. Please do remember to, are you subscribed? Please like this video. Please share this video with other moms, and not necessarily moms, only your biological moms, with the aunts, with your village, with the other people who are preparing for motherhood. They then would appreciate sort of this truth to nobody told me things about motherhood. I love you guys so much. See you guys on the other side of 500 subscribers. Ask your cousins, ask your friends, ask your colleagues, ask your everybody to subscribe. Okay. See you guys at the next Mama Magnified. Mama Magnified. Mama Magnified. Yay, Mama Magnified. Mwah. Thank you guys.